Okay, this should be common knowledge, but it's not. So here goes. You have a car. That car has a battery. Okay? Now, you want to put an alternator on the car to recharge the battery while you're driving it. Okay, so alternator on car, spinning, charging battery in your car. What is making the alternator spin? The movement of the car. What is making the car move? The wheels. What's making the wheels move? The electric motor. What's making the electric motor move? The battery. So you're using the battery to spin the motor, to move the wheels, to move the car, to spin the generator, to charge the battery. Okay? That's what you're doing. Now, basic law of thermodynamics in the universe, to the best of our knowledge, is conservation of mass and energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can be converted, equals mc squared. Nuclear detonations can do that. But you cannot destroy it, cannot create it. And it has to be conserved. What that means, for us, an object in motion will remain in motion until acted upon by an external force. An object at rest will remain at rest until acted upon by an external force. That force is your battery supplying power to the motor, drive to the wheels, to the ground, moving the car. Each time you convert energy, battery to motor, motor to drivetrain, drivetrain to wheels, wheels to ground, motion to alternator. Each time you do that, you lose something. Even if it's a little bit, you lose something. Always. The best you could hope for, which we cannot achieve, is 100%. So, at best, assuming we were capable of producing all of these systems at 100% efficiency, you would gain nothing by having the alternator on the car. In reality, however, all of these transfers are lossy. You're losing energy each time you transfer them. And since the power you're getting from that generator charging the car is coming from the battery in the car, you're always going to get back less energy than you put in. Always. No exceptions, not arguable. People also don't understand how their own gas car components work. But I can spin the generator, the alternator, and it doesn't take any effort. I could just spin it. Yeah? Apply a load to it and see if you can spin it. The force it takes to turn that generator is directly proportional to the load you place on the generator. So the alternator or generator that you have in your hands like this, and then you go wing, spin, has no load on it. It's no different than you spinning a top. You know, and the only force you have to put in is the force necessary to overcome the mass of the top to spin it. As soon as you apply a load to that alternator, as soon as you try to make it do work, it gets a whole hell of a lot harder to turn that generator. Put it this way, when we had no power at the house once, I hooked up an inverter to my minivan, 6-cylinder engine, 3.3 liter 6-cylinder engine, to power, keep our freezers and fridges cold so they'd freeze everything. Twice a day I'd start it up and run the freezers and fridges so the food wouldn't go bad. One time, 2 refrigerators tried to turn on at the same time, stalled the engine on the car. A running 3.3 liter 6-cylinder engine stalled that bitch. The engine did not have enough power to turn the alternator with that 3,000 watt load attached to it.
These are bacteria.
Seriously? You're going to do that? I clicked something on the screen and made it do that. So, you can't do that. Now, electric cars do have something called regenerative braking. But that is not a generator that is running while your car is driving down the road. That is a generator, the electric motor in the car, recovering energy you would otherwise be throwing away. This is why you basically never have to change brake pads on an electric car. Your brake pads will fall apart from age before you wear them out. My first electric car that got totaled, somebody rear-ended me at a stoplight. I had 65,000 miles on that car. I took a look at the brakes when the guy put it up on the flatbed. They still look new. After 65,000 miles. So after 6 or 7 years, those brake pads are going to begin to fall apart long before you will wear them out and require replacing them, wearing them out. Why? Because we have regenerative braking. When you go to stop, you're going down the highway and you have to slow down, you have to come to a stoplight, whatever. When you go to stop, well, you have a whole bunch of kinetic energy now. Your car is rolling down the road. In order for you to stop, you have to get rid of that energy somehow. Typically, the way we do that is we dump it into heat. The brake pad grabs the rotor, friction, things get hot, your car slows down. Well, instead of doing that, instead of just dumping that into wear and tear and brake pads and heat, instead, your motor flips and becomes a generator. And now, because you're already slowing down, we can now recover that energy. We can trade speed for energy. So we get energy, but the car slows down. So you're actually losing energy. But we want the car to slow down, so we're willing to make that exchange. But that recovered energy is, I think it's about 70% of what you used to accelerate. So you accelerate from 0 to 60, and then you're cruising at 60. You can never recover this energy cruising at 60. You can never recover that energy. But some of the energy you spent accelerating up to speed, you're basically trading energy for speed. You spend energy, car goes faster. Well, now I can do it the other way around as well. I can trade speed for energy. At a loss, of course. It's not 100%. I'm only getting about 70% of what I put in. That's regenerative braking. But that only works if you're slowing down. Once you come to a stop, though, there's no more regen. Because you came to a stop as a result of extracting that energy from the speed of your car. So you can't put an alternator or generator on a car to extend its range, from the motion of the car. That doesn't work. I mean, you could put solar cells on the car, and that works because the input energy is external. It's coming from the sun. But the number of solar panels you could fit on the car wouldn't do anything for your range. I mean, maybe if you had a big pickup truck with a cover on the bed, maybe you can gain 5 or 10 miles per day of electricity from the sunlight. But on a typical sedan car, you're not getting nothing back. You might add a mile to your... So instead of, going, 86 miles, maybe you can go 87. But you'll run the battery down long before you get that mile. So you can't get energy from nothing. If you put a generator on the car to try to charge the battery, you're basically using your battery to run your charger to charge your battery. And obviously that's like taking, your charger and your plug and plugging them together and wondering why they don't turn on. Because it can't work. It's a closed system. And the same thing applies on your car. You might be thinking, well, it's the car moving down the road. Well, it's moving down the road because you have a battery powering a motor. So ultimately that motion comes from the battery powering the motor, driving the wheels, moving you down the road. So you can't recover energy that way. So just wanted to clear that up because I know some people are confused by that.